Hi, in this video, we are going to talk about understanding a decimal number. In the systematic way of representing a numeral or a number, we start giving a value to the position to a number from its extreme right. Right? Suppose say I have a number 6482. Starting from the extreme right of this number, we start giving the values to the position at which it is. The position value of the extreme right is ones place, or is also called as a units place. The next position is this ones place multiplied by 10, which you get or you call as tens place. Tens place multiplied by 10, you get hundreds place, and then multiplied by 10, you get thousands place or TH. Right? That is, you get ones place, you get tens place, you get hundreds place, and you have thousands place. And if you have more digits to the left, you can name them 10,000s place, lakh, 10 lakh place, and all. Or if I want to understand this in another way, starting from left towards moving towards right, I can say the whatever is the position value here, the next position will be by 10. That is 1000 by 10, which is 100. So the next to the right side, you have a hundreds position, which is 1000 by 10. Towards the right of 100, you have tens place, that is 100 by 10. Towards the right of 10, you have ones place, which is 10 by 10. You understand? So moving from right to left, you are multiplying the position values by 10, and moving from left to right, you are dividing the position values by 10. If we can understand it this way, then what happens if I move further right? What happens if I move further to the right of units place? What I should get probably is one such number here, which when multiplied by 10 should give me 1. Which number when multiplied by 10 will give you 1? Obviously, this should be a fraction part, which is 1 by 10. 1 by 10 multiplied by 10 should give you 1. So this position is called 1 by 10th position. When I am multiplying 1 by 100 by 10, I get 1 by 10. That means to say, towards the right of 1 by 10, I should be having 1 by 100th position. So this is thousandth place, this is hundreds place, this is tens place, this is ones place or units place, this is 1/10th place, this is 100th place, and this should be 1000th place. This applies same here. Units place, when divided by 10, you get 1/10th place. When divided by 10, you get 100th place. When 1 by 100 is divided by 10, you get 1000th place, and this process continues. Suppose I have a number something like 3482 5 say 7. Now I want to tell you that my 2 is in ones place, this is in tens, 4 is in hundreds, 3 is in thousands place, and 5 is in 1/10th place, 7 is in 100th place. Now how can I distinguish? If I just write a number 348257, we will start considering 7 as a number or a digit in units place rather than considering it as a digit in 1 by 100th place. So to avoid this kind of confusion, what we need is a kind of a partition that can divide these whole number positional values and the fractional positional values. Right? These are fractional positional values. These are whole number positional values. So I need a partition that could exactly distinguish between these positional values and the fractional positional values. And that partition is exactly what we call as a decimal point. a decimal point is used to distinguish between the fractional positional values and the whole number positional values of a number. You understand? Suppose I have a whole object and say I am dividing it into 10 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, say 8, 9, and say this is 10. Now each of this part, you know that this is one part out of 10 parts. That is 1/10 of the whole. I am dividing the whole object into 10 equal parts, then each part is 1/10 of the whole. This is 1/10 of the whole. That means to say this is these values, this point or this what I'm shading here should lie in this position, which is 1/10 position. So this position after the decimal point, that is some digits after the decimal point, whatever is the position that is designated to 1/10 position of the whole. You understand? Suppose I am dividing a whole object into say some 100 parts, like 10 this way and 10 this way. That means I am dividing each whole object into 100 parts, or I can say that I have said this is 10 parts. Again, I am dividing each of these 10 into 10 parts. 10 times 10 is 100. That should give you each part is 1/100th of the whole. That value has a designated position, which is this. That is the second place after the decimal point. You understand? Let us try to make it more clear with the help of an example. So here I have a block, that is this is one unit. Say this is one whole object which I am dividing it into 10 equal parts, but I am considering one whole. This is also one whole, and these are those 1/10 parts. I am taking 1/10 parts, 10 parts. That means that I am taking one part, here one part, and here I am taking three 1/10 parts. You understand? So how can I write this in the form of a number? Fractional representation is, you can write it as 2 plus 3/10, or I can write it as a mixed fraction 2 3/10. But decimal point, or representing using the decimal point, you can write it as 2.3. That is 2 is the whole units place, that whole units, and point is the decimal point, and after the decimal point the first position is designated to this 1/10 part, and here we have chosen three such 1/10 parts. That is where I am writing it as 2.3. Here you can see that I have 10 blocks, like this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is 10 and this is one more 10. So I have two 10s here, and I have three 1s here, and I have 5 1/10ths here. You understand? So how can I represent it in the form of a number? I have ones place, I have tens place, and I have 1/10th place, which is preceded by a decimal. So ones place I have three ones, two tens place I have two tens, and 1/10th place I have 5 1/10ths. So this is a representation of this number 23.5. You understand? Suppose here I have hundreds place, here I have tens place. So I have, let me write the positional things here. This is ones, tens, hundreds, and we have a point, and this is 1/10th, right? So hundreds, I have 100, I have 110. There are no units, so I have 0 units, but after decimal I have 4/10. This is 1/10. So 1/10 is written as 1/10, right? So this 10th here is this position, which is 4. So this number here is 110.4. You understand? So, writing a decimal value, whenever we are writing a decimal number, we need to understand it this way, that we have a designated position for 1/10, 100th, and so on. Suppose I have no units place, I don't have all these tens and ones and all. I only consider only the 1/10th part of the 5 units. Then how will I write? I write it as 0.5. What do I mean by 0.5? I am taking 5 1/10th part of the whole. So if I have to represent the same thing on a number line, you have between 0 to 1, if you look on your scale, you can find small partitions which are what you call as millimeters if you're looking at your centimeter square. This each one will be 1/10. I have divided the whole between 0 to 1 into 10. So the whole part is 1/10. Or if I write the same thing in the form of a decimal, 1/10, if this is the first 1/10 that I want to consider, this should be 0.1 because I'm considering only one of this 1/10. And this point after the decimal point, the position that I have here is for the position of 1/10. I have 1/10, so I have this. Suppose I want to consider two objects, two 1/10s here. So how will I write? This should be 0.2. That is why you call this as 0.1 and this is 0.2. Similarly, if I have this the bigger line on your scale should be 0.5 because these from 0 to here are 5 1/10th part. That is why you call this as 5 by 10 or 5 1/10th. That's where you write it as 0.5. So let us now look at few more examples. In this part, you can see that a whole object is being divided into 10 equal parts. So the one that is shaded here is one out of all the 10 equal parts. You understand? And what should this be? This is the whole object is now divided into 100 parts, or what I'm trying to say is each of these 10 parts is again divided into 10 parts like this. So all the 10 parts are divided into 10 parts each. That should give you 100 parts, and the one that is shaded here is 1 out of 100 parts. Right, now going on the same lines, if you can see here, we have the whole object divided into 100 parts. How many are shaded? How many are we considering? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So this should give you 8 on 100. If I want to represent this in terms of decimals, now you have ones place, tens place, hundreds place and on, but after decimal you have 1/10th place and 1 by 100th place. Now there are no ones, no tens here, so we'll just keep it as 0. We are not considering 1 by 10 as a whole, so this also will be 0, but we are considering 8 of these 1 by 100 parts. That's where you can write it as 8 in this position, or that is 1 by 100th position. That's how you got your decimal value here as 0.08. That is, this is a representation of this decimal 0.08. Now here, if you can see, I have considered all the 1 by 10th part, that is all the 10 parts here, and 1 2 3 4 and 5 parts, that is totally I have chosen 15 parts out of all the 100 parts. Right, so I can write it as 15 on 1 by 100 parts, or I can say I will choose 1 by 10 of the whole part, that is 1 by 10 this strip, and I can also say I am choosing 5 of the 1 by 100 parts. Both are actually same. So how can I represent this in the form of a decimal number? This should give you ones, tens, hundreds and all. These are anyway zeros here. I mean, we are not considering any unit as a whole here. But yes, you have 1 by 10th and 1 by 100. You have 1 by 10th and 5 of 1 by 100th. That's why you can write this as a decimal number 0.15.
Now going on the same lines, how can you represent this? This should be like you have ones, tens, hundreds, like say, okay, let me write here ones, tens, hundreds and all, and after decimal you have 1/10 and 1/100th. So how can you say what this is? This is 1/100th block you have, 3/10 blocks you have, 2 units block or ones block you have, 1/110th block you have, and 5/100th block you have. So this is a representation of the decimal number 132.15, right? So whenever you're writing a decimal number, you must understand that towards the right we have the fractional positional values, and towards the left we have the positional values in ones, tens, hundreds, increasing by the order of 10.